Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today. This is my 6th episode and it's lovely to be back. I did try and film a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately I had a terrible cold and it just sounded dreadful. So it's been a little bit longer than I planned, but it's nice to be back. So let's start with what I'm wearing. Today I've got a sweater on. This is the Malin sweater by Isabel Kramer and I knitted this in the round. In fact, it was the first sweater that I knitted in the round, but I am quite pleased with the results. It's knitted in a wool acrylic mix which I bought quite a while ago. Wasn't very expensive, so I didn't want to use expensive yarn on something I'd never done before. So I think it's called Hayfield Bonus with wool, and I picked up a job lot at the Knitting and Stitching show. I purchased it from Black Sheep Wools. They quite often have at shows large packs on sale, very good prices, and I just picked up this pack here. So far I've knitted a cowl and this jumper from this yarn. It's a really lovely sweater. You've got just a simple lace detail down the front, and I think in the pattern you get a choice of two different patterns, two lace patterns. I can't remember which one I chose, and it was quite simple, and I like everything about the jumper. The only thing is there is a slight bump here where the pattern is, and after making the garment I read some Ravelry project notes and I noticed that some people changed the pattern slightly and they did a row of knitting first, I think, before starting the lace pattern. I think that eliminated the little bump that you get. I blocked it out, it's not very noticeable, but when I picked up the stitches for the neckband there was quite a big bump which is quite noticeable. So just a little tip if you're ever going to make the Malin, but it's sweet. And another thing as well, I like the sleeve length, but I think always maybe do an inch longer than you think they need to be. The sleeves ride up a little bit. They're not 3/4 length sleeves, they're supposed to be full length sleeves, but I find them riding up a little bit. A lovely cuff detail though here as well where you cast off. I think it just looks nice. It's just a normal cast off. The wool's a bit bobbly now. I perhaps need to invest in one of those little jumper shavers. But yeah, I'm super pleased with this, and it's ever so warm. It's a wool mix, and it's a lovely shade. I don't know what the shade is, so I will link to the yarn in my project notes. So yeah, a jumper out of my wardrobe. I thoroughly recommend this pattern if you're looking for a simple jumper in the round. It was my first project, as I said, and yeah, it was great, and there was no seaming, which is fantastic. Let's start by talking about my whips. I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed by all the whips that I had. I like to have one or two different projects on the go, some socks, a larger project, but I'd got so many whips it's got a little bit out of control. So I just happened to be browsing on YouTube and I came across a video which I'll link to in my notes below about how to organise your whips. So the channel is called Sticks Plus Twine. It's a super guy called Eric who lives in Canada, and I won't give too much away, but basically I watched his video and it gave me some ideas about how to get organised. And what I basically did was got all my whips out, put them in a big pile. I sorted them out into various different piles. So the first pile was things I want to finish. There's a pile which is things I'm going to forget about, which are basically like long-term things like blankets that I know I'm going to finish, but I just want to park them, put them to one side for the moment while I concentrate on the things I can finish. And I made a frog pile. I've got a couple of projects that I just haven't got into, haven't got started. One being the Pine Lake shawl, which I mentioned before, and also the Pearl Strings sweater by Heidi Kiermaier. Nothing wrong with the patterns and I probably will go back to them, but I just wasn't feeling them, so I frogged those and I feel a lot happier that they're out of the way. And then the fourth category is future, so perhaps things that you want to work on in the future. I've got everything sorted out, so in my mind I know sort of some of the things that I'm going to work on when I finish the things. So what I did then was, with all my projects that I wanted to finish, I wrote a list and then I ordered them because some of them were so quick and there wasn't really much to do. Having a list makes it easier for me as I know what I've got to concentrate on finishing, and it's really giving me a bit of momentum to power through the whips. So my first whip that I want to share with you is called the Popcorn Cardigan, which is by Sara. I showed you this last episode and I think I'd only made one of the sleeves, so I've made good progress. I have 2 completed sleeves. I have joined the seams with mattress stitch and I've picked up the little neckband. So all I have left to do now is pick up the stitches for the button bands and then finish the seaming. I think this is just going to be such a sweet cardigan. Definitely recommend anything by Sara for little babies and toddlers. They're such sweet patterns. They were my go-to when my daughter, now 18, was a little girl. And this is a really nice yarn. It's called Snuggly Repay. It's 50% cotton, 50% acrylic, so I know it will wash well. So yeah, really pleased with the progress I've made on this. I should hopefully finish this for next episode. Next work in progress I've been working on is the All Is Calm socks by Kay Jones. So this is a patron only pattern if you're a patron, a silver patron, and I wanted something with a bit of a pattern to disguise the dreadful pooling that this yarn actually has. This is West Yorkshire Spinners, which is one of my favourite sock yarns, but I'm not mad on the shade just because of the pooling, and I think it's doing a good job of disguising it. The shade's called Foxglove, but I wouldn't recommend this particular shade just because if you don't want weird pooly socks. So I will persevere, will use it because I think the pattern's lovely and it is disguising them. Knitting these on my Knit Pro Novas, which are new needles to me, which I really like. Knitting them in Magic Loop, which is my new sort of sock method, and I'm quite converted. I'm really liking Magic Loop just for the convenience and of not losing a needle down the side of the car seat, that kind of thing. Next work in progress I've not shown to you before. It is some fingerless mitts, and the pattern's called Sara Fingerless Mitts, and so far I have made 1 mitt. I dug this out of my pile, and this is stash yarn, leftover yarn from my Valencia shawl, which I showed to you probably in episode 1 or 2. It's beautiful yarn by Yarn Stories, and just it's a good way of using up those scraps. I'd already made this pattern before for my daughter in the grey shade, so that's all I have left of the grey now. I just wanted to use up the scraps really. I made the mittens for her using the recommended needle size, which is 3.5mm, but they came up quite snug. She does have little hands, so that was fine for her, but I've gone up to 4mm needles for these, and these are knitted on DPN, so hopefully I should get the next mitten finished. I'm quite pleased with how they're working up. I might make the second mitten with the thistle shade on the cuffs and then the lilac on the hand. I think that would look quite nice. I've measured the amounts, I have enough to do it either way, so we'll see. So that's the Sara mitts, I recommend that pattern. My last whip that I've been working on is a hat. Now this hat is called the Westboro Hat, and it's designed by Selma from Little Big Mitts. If you haven't watched her channel, you definitely should. She's based in Canada and she's mainly a sweater knitter, but she knits some really beautiful items, some lovely shawls and sometimes socks, but mainly garments. And she always swatches, which I'm very naughty at. And yeah, she's just really lovely to listen to. And she shares snippets of her life as well. I love podcasts from around the world because you find out more about people. So this is her only pattern. It's called the Westboro Hat, and I think she designed it originally as a charity hat, and then I think she released the pattern probably about a year ago. And it's a great hat for using up odds and ends of yarn, and it's got this simple popcorn pattern, and as you can see I've done quite a lot of it. I think I've got one more popcorn repeat to do, so it's not too many popcorns, and then I can start the crown shaping. I think it's perfect for autumn. I'm just going to put it on and look a bit of a wally here for you. So as you can see, what do you think? Yeah, It's really nice. I am knitting this in Serdar Click. You might have seen this yarn again. This is another theme. I'm using up some of my scraps. This is the yarn that I made my cardigan in that I shared with you in episode 3, and it's a really lovely colour called Nordic Spruce. Again, it's a discontinued yarn, and the needles are 40cm needles, and they are Knit Pro Basics, which are nice because they've got nice short tips, so they're great for hat knitting, and they're made of birch. They're quite pointy actually. I was quite surprised how pointy they were. So they were new to me needles when I bought these. I've got the 3.5 and the 4mm needles, but I like knitting hats on the 40cm needles because it's just really quick. You could do it magic loop, but I'm pretty pleased with this, so I think I will have a hat to share with you next episode. So writing the list and working my way through is really helping me get through those whips and get them under control, get them organised, so I definitely think it is worth doing. That is all the whips. Oh, and it's got a pom-pom. I might add the pom-pom. I bought myself this little pom-pom. I think it's a Rico pom-pom. I might add the pom-pom, I'm not sure. So got the pom-pom there if I want a pom-pom. This is my second time doing this because halfway through filming, my phone told me that the iCloud storage was full or something. So I don't know what happened. And I'm also filming this slightly differently today. Normally I film on the front camera, which is a bit disconcerting because obviously you can see yourself and you're trying to not look at yourself. So today I'm using the back camera, but what I did, I found a free app on the App Store which mirrors between an iPhone and an iPad. It's a bit temperamental, it was free, but actually seems to be working, so I could actually look in the iPad and actually check that I was actually in the frame, so that seemed to work okay. So hopefully it's okay. The only thing wrong with today's filming is a really grey day outside. I don't have any studio lights, so definitely something that I want to invest in to try and make better quality films for you, but I'm hoping it's not too bad for you. Hopefully the picture quality might be a little bit better today. It is a big learning curve for me. I'm not very good at making videos, so we will see. Next up, I'm going to share with you my finished objects. First of all, we have the short and sweet socks. These are the design that I mentioned before by Kay Jones, and these are a patron only pattern. If you are a Bakery Bears patron, you get access to all these patterns and the patron only podcast, the magazine, the radio show, loads of videos. So I know I say every episode that you should check them out, but definitely should. And they just knitted up so quickly, knitted in the magic loop, and you've got the little eyelet detail, you've got a nice sweet slip stitch heel, and then you've got Kay's umbrella toe, which I think is also called a star toe, which I've seen elsewhere, and it fits really nicely. They're knitted in Regia 4-ply, which is a great yarn. It's a workhorse yarn, so it will last, it will wash well. I've got a pair of Regia socks that I think that are about 10 years old, and they've only just holed on the heels. I need to maybe learn how to darn because there's nothing wrong with the rest of the socks. I would like to knit some socks in indie dyed yarn, but just not in my budget really at the moment, so I tend to look at commercial sock yarns. So Regia and Opal, West Yorkshire Spinners, they seem to be my go-tos for sock yarns. If you've got any other recommendations for affordable sock yarns, I'd love to hear from you. So these are the short and sweet socks, really pleased with those. Next up is my finished Ronnie top. Now I mentioned this in the very original podcast, episode 1. I bought this book, which is the Rowan 69 magazine, and I chose the Ronnie top by Lisa Richardson. It's a summer top, it's short sleeved, so I finished it now. I will get a little bit of wear out of it, I think, in autumn. Oh, just my phone's going, so we'll just wait a second. So I will get a little bit of wear out of it still. I think it is a spring summer top, but I think I can wear it in the autumn as a layering piece. So it's knitted in pieces and it's a simple boxy top. I use Ashian Serdar Simply Recycled DK, which was about 10 years old. I bought it for Rebecca originally for a cardigan and she didn't like the colour. So it's just sat there. So yeah, I wanted to use it up. The garment's knitted in pieces. Oh gosh, there were rather a lot of ends to weave in. That's the one thing I didn't really enjoy about it. It's got this cute little split hem detailing that you can see there. I like everything about it. It's really sweet. It's a loose boxy fit. I'm pleased with it in general. It didn't cost me anything because I've had the yarn for about 10 years and it's a nice little top and I'm sure I will get some wear out of it. Last up, I have some exciting news to share with you. I have finished my little block socks. I've talked about these in previous videos. I originally called them the bubblegum block socks, but I thought I wanted to give them a more general name because they don't have to be knitted in this bright bubblegum colour. And also I might want to use the block pattern in another design, which I've actually started working on. So it made sense to me to give them a name that didn't really rely on the colour. They are knitted in 4-ply. You can use any 4-ply. It's got a simple block pattern down the front. You've got a slip stitch heel there and then a straightforward toe, and you have to graft the toe with Kitchener stitch. But I think anybody could tackle these socks. They are written on DPNs, but again you could tackle it with magic loop as well. And I'm excited to tell you that the pattern is now published on Ravelry and on LOVECRAFTS. So if you are interested, I will leave you a link in the description box below and you can go and have a little look at my first sock design. Very exciting. The other finished object I should mention are my little pumpkins by Michelle C. Meadows. I have finished them. I made 12 pumpkins in the end. I don't have them anymore because I've taken them into work. So I'm going to put a little picture here for you to see. They are so sweet. I adapted the pattern. I made some big ones and some small ones, but I definitely enjoyed making them. Next year I might make some for my own home. And I think I might start them a little bit early because I did get a bit pumpkined out, but it is really lovely to have a little autumn display. So yeah, let me know what you've been making, whether you've made anything for autumn or have you started your Christmas knitting yet? It's a Christmas word, eh? Normally talk about the podcasts that I've been watching. I've already mentioned Selma at Little Big Knits, so I think you should definitely go and watch her podcast. The other podcasters that I've been watching recently, I've recently started watching Andrea Mowry, I'll Knit If I Want To. And what I really like about her videos are the Q&A format. So it's just quite informal. She's sitting there in her room, her design studio, I'm not sure where it is in her house, and the viewers send in questions and she just shares her knowledge with us. Yes, fascinating. She's got a lovely personality. It's interesting to hear how she combines her design work with being a busy mum of 2 young children as well. I've never made any of her patterns. They are really, really lovely, but I just like listening to her. So definitely go and check her out. She has lots of hints and tips and I think you will find it useful. The other YouTube channel that I've been watching recently is Elise from Le Petit Saint Crochet. And I discovered her channel recently. She makes mainly knitted and crocheted soft toys, which is not really something I've made many of, and I really enjoy her video style. She's really inspiring. She lives in North Carolina with her husband. She's similar age to me, I would think, and her children have sort of flown the nest, and she's thrown herself into her YouTube channel and her blog, and I just think it's brilliant the way she shares everything, you know, about her crafty journey and how she runs her handmade business, and the toys that she makes are so sweet. So I've got a couple of books that I have about soft toys, so I'm going to share those with you because I'm feeling quite inspired to perhaps have a go at making some. I'm just going to share these books with you because I know some of my viewers like to see the books that I have. So this is a book I got for my birthday last year, which is called Cute Amigurumi Animals, if I can say that right. And what I like about this book is they are quite simple, some of them. I think what I've done before with toys is perhaps started with something quite complicated and found it a bit too difficult. So there is a little bear in here, I'm just finding him for you, that I fancy starting with. He's a crocheted bear. Oh my god, isn't he just adorable? And I think if I start simply, then I can do it. So yeah, he's called Bertie the furry bear, and I really like him. He looks so simple to make. And then the other toy that I really like in here as well is this little kitty cushion, which is sweet. Let's find that for you. It's Mina, the cat cushion. You know that I love, there it is, you know I love my cats. So I'm feeling inspired to have a little go at Amigurumi, and this is a book that Elise has shared on her video, which I've had as well. I got this for Christmas, and again, I've never tackled any of these. Now these look a little bit more challenging, but what I like about this book is the instructions look really detailed. So perhaps when I feel a bit more confident, I might tackle one or two of these, but they are not the first ones I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you how cute they are. Here she is. You've got the lamb. And the one I really like is the little kitty as well. You know I like my kitties. Let's have a look for the kitty. It's very sweet. So yeah, definitely let me know if you know any good patterns for soft toys, either knitted or crochet, and definitely go and check out Elise's channel because she's fantastic. She's so inspiring and her videos are so well produced, makes me look like an amateur. I think that's all the podcasts I've been watching. If you've got any recommendations, let me know. I have a couple of acquisitions to share with you. I said to you in my last episode that when it came out I was going to get the next Rowan magazine. So this is Rowan magazine number 70 and it's their platinum edition, and there's so many nice things in here, like this colour block shawl, and there's some really lovely soft furnishings. I love the kitty cushion, I'm tempted by that knitted cushion. And what I've noticed is they have increased their sizing, so they're being more inclusive, and they've also shot the photos on 2 different size models, and they've written the garment size and also the size, the chest size of the model. But the one thing that is a bit weird is they only have one sample size. The different models are wearing the same sample. So this is the garment that I really like, this jumper here. It's called Titanium, and I'm going to be making this. So you've got the 2 models wearing it. So the garment photographed is the 40 to 42 inch chest. I suppose it shows what it looks like with more ease or less ease, but I don't quite know what the designer intended it to look like. So I have purchased the yarn, which is called Alpaca Classic, and I'm just going to show that to you, and I chose a different shade. So this shade, and luckily it nearly got eaten by the dog. I don't have my post put through my letterbox because of Loki, but I think he managed to get hold of the parcel, but Rebecca, thank goodness, rescued it. Rowan yarn, you know, and it's being eaten by a dog. So this is the Alpaca Classic. I've never used this before and it is gorgeous. So it's a grey shade, and I just thought that would look really lovely. So yeah, one thing I had to email Rowan though, because I was going to swatch. I'm actually going to swatch this because it's on 3.75. so there's a chart and the key's missing. I kind of figured it out because I thought that's the cables, but half of the key's missing, so they've sent me the updated chart. So that's not brilliant really. Straight away there's an errata, but I want to swatch because when you're buying Rowan yarn, I want to make sure it goes, get the right gauge. The other thing to say is I bought this from LOVECRAFTS, which is a really good retailer, but I knew I wanted to buy it, so I just waited. I waited till they had a sale, and so I got 20% off. It was 20% off everything, so it made the yarn much more affordable because Rowan is quite pricey. So if you know what you want to buy, then I would, in my mind, hold out, particularly if you're buying it from LOVECRAFTS, because they always have a sale. I'm trying not to impulse purchase. I want to think about what I want to buy and then get it at a good price if I can. So that was quite pleasing to me, because I really wouldn't want to buy this at the full price. So I got 20% off, and I needed 10 balls, but it's a 25 gram ball, but it must go far. So I'm going to be really interested to knit this, because I've never really used Rowan before, but I wanted to make it with the right yarn. The other thing I noticed as well with these patterns is a lot of them are knitted with a little metal thread fuse. It's called DMC Diamante, and apparently you can knit them without the thread. It doesn't make any difference to the design, but if you purchase the thread, some of them use lots of the thread, it would absolutely really bump the cost up. When I was looking into it, I realised that DMC actually own Rowan now. They also own Sara as well. It's a French company, DMC. That was quite interesting to me, that Rowan are not necessarily independent anymore. Yeah, it's a really lovely pattern book, so definitely check that out. And then my only other purchase is this book here, which is called Crocheted Wreaths for the Home. I happened to see this in a shop called The Works, which I've mentioned before, and I just thought, wow, this is amazing. You've got your Easter wreath, and we've got some little sweet Halloween wreath, the pumpkin one, and then you've got the one with the robin on, which I quite like as well. No, it's not pumpkins, is it? It's a hedgehog. So a hedgehog one. There is one with pumpkins on. This is a Christmas one, which is so cute. Where is it? Let's have a look. A Christmas one. And I'll see if I can find the pumpkin one I mentioned. There's one with little pumpkins. And again, this is quite inspirational for me. It might be a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm much more of a knitter than a crocheter. And there's your Valentine's wreath, but I just really picked it up. It was a great price, £5 from The Works. I will say it's not a beginner's book. It does have techniques in the back, which is about how to do ferrule crochet, or crochet with beads, or how to make a pom-pom. It doesn't tell you anything about how to crochet at all, so it's not a book for beginners. It expects you to have sort of knowledge of crochet as well, but I think it's really lovely. Got the autumn garland. So I picked it up, and that will be there, and I'll see what one day maybe I'll make something from this. I think I could probably make the pumpkins on there. They look really simple, and I think maybe the Easter wreath might be the first one I tackle. I think that looks quite straightforward, not too challenging for me. Those are all my purchases this month. I hope you've enjoyed seeing them. Life update, really nothing to report. Both Rebecca and myself, my daughter Becca, we were really poorly. I don't know, going around in the UK seems to be a terrible cold. I think people's resistance perhaps has been really low, maybe because they didn't get colds last year. We did COVID tests, but it wasn't COVID. But I was under the weather, had several days off work. Tried to podcast, but it just was terrible. We have added a new baby to our collection of cats, so I will insert a little bit of footage for you. Her name is Mia, and she is 15 weeks old now. She's really sweet. She is a mink Bengal. You know I love my cats, so if you're interested, stick around to see Mia, and hopefully I will be able to podcast in another couple of weeks, all being well. So thank you so much for stopping by my channel. It is really lovely to have you here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave links in the description box if you want to connect with me. I will leave show notes as well, so anything I've talked about you can find the links, and if you can remember to like and to subscribe, that would really help me a lot, and I shall see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye. bye.